alle diejenigen, die ihre Stimme geölt haben, noch 3, 2, 1. Sehr schön. Und jetzt die große Herausforderung. Ich weiß, es ist Mittag, das fällt so ein bisschen in das Mittagstief, aber wir probieren das jetzt Ganze nochmal mit einem Ding-Ding-Dong. Kriegen wir das auch hin?
hier Maxi und Inge Ehlmann Minuten-Weltmeister und Vierer.
Altenberg in Germany on a spring Sunday morning in mid-February. Yeah, unseasonably warm weather for the 7th race weekend of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup, and it could well be track record conditions as we get into the final race of the weekend, the 4-man bobsleigh. Martin Haven and Sylvia Hoffman here. Sylvia, it was damp, it was slow, it was pretty hard work during the week. But race day yesterday in the mono, and today especially for the women and the 4-man, harder, faster ice, and that makes it more drivable.
Yes, we were missing that yesterday in the women's monobob race, but it really sped up this morning in the 2-woman race. And starting at the top, I mean, it's a pretty long, flat ramp, but you want to be quiet. You don't want to be hitting walls because you can lose a lot of time at the top, but then you really start getting going by 4 or 5. A lot of people will lose some time on that little small uphill section, but then you get down into the labyrinth 6, 7, and 8, and then one of the most difficult corners, corner 9. It can really spit you out really weird, but then you go into Chrysler. It's a 360-degree corner, and it has 3 large pressures, and you want to really try to get out smooth. 11, 12 can really catch some people. You can roll into 12. 13 will kind of get you a little bit inverted, and then 14, shoot that, and you might actually be set up for the bottom hill of the track where you really start to pick up speed, and you can easily gain or lose a half a second at the bottom of the hill, Martin.
Well, the track record set by Andre Langer, René Hopper, Kevin Kuska and Martin Putzer back in February 2008. The start record, Francesco Frigic and his crew, February 2020 when they won the 4-man Worlds for the first time here. And it'll be Francesco Frigic who is likely to be our gold medalist here on home ice. Johannes Lochner, the World Cup points leader, crashed in training, injured his neck. He will be in the World Championships next week, but is not going to put anything at risk here this weekend. So he's not racing. And bronze medalist last year in the second race, Mickey Vogt, had a crash in training. Brakeman Sandro Michel was pretty badly injured. Vogt was concussed, so they're not racing this weekend either, nor is last year's double winning crew, Brad Hall and the boys. So Francesco Frigic there in a familiar rainbow beanie. It's always tough to beat this man on this track. This is where he started sliding. It's where he grew up, where he learned his craft. And he's still so tough to beat everywhere, but especially here. And when we opened the curtains this morning, and it was sunny, I know he'll have rubbed his hands with glee, because sunny, a bit of frost overnight means cold ice, fast start area. They'll be attacking the track records as well as going for gold. Yeah, the ladies, they kicked it off really fast this morning, and they were a little surprised about how fast the ice was. So I know the men are going to be really excited about that. They can get on the better lines, they can hold the line, and stay fast throughout the entire track and not slow down. Well, Frigic will be 10th out of the start shed. Christoph Hafer will be taking the place of Johannes Lochner. He will be last out, but let's see how the track holds up. Race 7 of BMW IBSF 4-man bobsleigh World Cup. Jakob Mandelbauer gets us underway with Dominik Hanschitz, Diane Nickel-Bardi, who was on the back of the sled yesterday when they crashed in the 2-man race, and Lukas Zek on the back handles. Young Austrian driver, Sylvia Hoffmann. This is going to be a challenge when his last run down here ended upside down. Yeah, and it's kind of hard sometimes to bounce back from that. You know, like we try to go in with a clear head every day of sliding, but sometimes we kind of end on that bad note. We can't try again before we start the next day, so we have to sleep on it and then hope for the best the next day. Yeah, and they will go off absolutely full attack from the start, trying to give their man as much speed as possible, because the faster you're going here, the more G-forces act on the sled, the easier is control. Yeah, let's see what he does in Kreisel here. It looks like he catches the first wave pretty well as he was going skittish in there, but you know, he's making it down the hill so far, and that was one of the most toughest parts of the track, but sometimes that 13, 14 can get you. Yeah, whips into 13 on the wrong side, coming into 15. That'll take speed away. And again, big first pressure in 16 across the line, 55.04. Now let's put that up against the best ever, 53.17. Let's say that Francesco Frigic is comfortably a second quicker than Jakob Mandelbauer any day in any conditions on this track. Yeah, but you got to see this team. They're excited right now that they made it down. The first heat in the 4-man. Everyone in the sled is excited. So that look at the smiles. He's like, you know what? It wasn't the cleanest. And Kathy is doing the same. She's like, look, it wasn't clean, but you made it. Oh boy, in her race, she nearly rolled it out of 11. They got bumped back up by the wall, so she had a get out of jail free card. And these guys, I mean, the deal here, it's Worlds next week. Yeah. Get it down ugly, just get it down. Yeah, and it's for me, this was my first time sliding here as a pilot, first time driving here. And, you know, I was a bit nervous. I went off last, and he went off first. And I honestly tell you, I would have rather went off first yesterday. Yeah, the long wait is a nervous one. Well, no Mattia Variola from Italy. They crashed yesterday. So Taylor Austin of Canada returning to the World Cup this weekend. He's got Anthony Couturier at 2. Devon McEwen was on the 2-man sled yesterday. And Shaq Murray-Lawrence is back at the back handles. It's good seeing Taylor back on the circuit. I mean, it's been a long kind of time coming, like rebuilding his team. But he's excited to be back. A little skid out of 1. That'll put them back a little bit for the speed down the hill. But let's see if he can straighten up the 3 to 4. Yeah, last time we saw him race was the Worlds in St. Moritz last February. So he's been back in North America, training the team, raising funds. Oh, a little skid there. Yeah, it's a little loose at the back, the sled. Oh, gosh, and he's over. Someone lost their visor. Yeah, that'll be him, I guess. Oftentimes the driver is the only one with a visor on the helmet, and it's a long way down. It is. And they don't have enough speed to attempt to pop it back over. I'm not sure about the 4-mans where they can come back. I can't think that I've seen one because there's so much weight inside it. Right. And the weight is like hanging out the top now rather than on the floor. So. Yeah, but they're hanging on. Yeah. They're almost where the finish line is. Let's see if they can at least cross the finish, and maybe they'll do a second run. They've crossed the finish. Now we're looking for guys to catch the sled before it goes back. That's the biggest thing, and
little too late. These guys, I know how hard that is. I've experienced it as a brakeman and driver, where you just want the sled to just stop when you reach the top of that and not go backwards.
Came down early, and then the fourth wave got them. And this is so often the case. There's that extra little bit of pressure still pushing the sled up.
Yeah,
and again, training was nothing like this. They wouldn't have had that G-forces because they wouldn't have had the speed. So
yeah, that's two different visors. That's Taylor's and the two guy.
Yeah,
I think both of theirs came off, and they're trying to stay in the sled as much as they can. Look, they're in there. They're still almost lined up.
Yeah, but the helmets are all getting rattled along on the ice, slammed into the wall. So, yeah, crash out of 9.
Yeah,
it's a long, ugly way down.
Yeah, he must have kicked out.
Yeah. Well, that's not Shaq, so I guess that's, that looked like maybe Anthony Couturier. Well, there you go. Didn't take too long, did it? And you know, one of the challenges of this track, and actually why quite a lot of drivers really like it, despite its potential for crashes, is that it is a challenge. It's not an autobahn. It's not an easy track to get down. So it is a challenge. The speeds are high. The G-forces are high. When you race here, when you drive here, you know you're in a serious environment, don't you?
I mean, I've always respected the track itself just because of its technical aspects. And trying to learn it this last week and a half, like, I mean, I completely enjoyed it, but I also knew, like, I knew the dangers of sliding.
Yep.
But it looks like the guys are up and going. That's the most important part.
Absolutely. And the medical crew will give them a check over, make sure they're okay. Look for signs of concussion or any other potential injuries. Ice burns always a concern, particularly with all the weight of a 4-man sled. The sled is heavier than the 2-man sled, obviously, because it's bigger, longer, and everything else. And you've got all the other guys hanging on inside it. So you add that weight to the overall weight, pushing your head down on the ice, pushing your shoulders down on the ice.
Yeah, these are pretty big guys, too. I mean, they're almost, what, 200 pounds, you know,
guys are getting bigger, sleds are getting smaller and lighter, and yeah.
But I mean, look at the crowd that's out here that's supporting everyone. They were out here this morning for the women's race. They were out here yesterday. They've been honestly out here all week, just, you know, out here supporting everyone here that's, you know, racing and getting ready for World Championships. And that's one of the atmospheres that Altenberg brings to the circuit of bobsled.
Great view of the runners there. Not square-edged like you'll see on an ice skate. They're rounded, highly polished. What you're trying to do here is not cut into the ice. You're trying to glide over it. So the more you polish them, the less they induce friction. And that's all about the speed. And they're not quite flat all the way either. A little bit like a skeleton runner. They're just a little bit bowed, so a little bit like a rocking chair underneath. So the full length of the runner doesn't touch the ice. There's a smaller contact patch. And the smaller the contact patch, the harder the ice. So different grinds of runners. If you are a wealthy team like Germany, you'll have different runners for different ice temperatures. So it's not just about the steel, it's about how it's cut, how it's profiled, how wide the runner is, whether it's as wide as your first finger or as wide as your thumb.
Yep.
And the tendency now is for fatter and fatter runners on the 4-man, on the 2-man, on the women's bob, and now, you know, creeping their way into mono as well.
They are. It's, you know, you still want that edge of darkness, which is the edge of lack of control.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we were standing and stuff, you know, doing our runner preparations, and, you know, our coach sometimes makes some jokes of, you know, like, well, the runner isn't as flat as you think. There's a little bow in it, so this much touches the ice. And I was joking because, you know, I did go over the other day, but I came back up in corner 14, and I was like, look, coach, I use the entire runner.
Well, you see, you were waving around in the air for a bit, so there's a little bit less rubbing to do later, right? A little bit less to polish. Hey, I'm saving runner time, saving myself some runner prep.
Exactly. I say that all the time, like, well.
Of course, I've got to polish my helmet now, but, you know, swings and roundabouts. Yeah, that helmet livery, you need to take care of that. That's a beautiful looking helmet.
Yeah, I told you the other day, I was like, I use my other helmet as more of my practice helmet because I am still a new driver, and I love my Olympic gear helmet. It's by one of our sponsors. They gave it to me Olympic year. It has a dragon on it. There's a koi fish. There's like somewhat of a red sea. I mean, of a red sun with a blue sea going on. It kind of looks like red, white, and blue. It was pretty cool helmet. I loved it. I was like,
it's gonna have to go on a shelf soon.
That's
just before you start wrecking it.
Yeah, I know. I chipped it a little bit the other day. I was like, Sylvia, don't do that.
Yeah, but you know, it's like when you see a car that wins the Indy 500. When you see it in a museum, you don't want it to look like it's just come out of the paint shop.
Yeah.
You want to look like it's just come out of the Indy 500. You want to see it covered in oil and brake dust and bug squish, and you want it to look like it's raced a race. Now, before you wreck it, you got to park that helmet. You got to come up with a new one for next year.
Yeah. I do need to. I gotta figure that part out. And but they've come out with, our sponsor has come out with some different designs and stuff. So I've been looking. But I haven't made a decision yet, but I've also just started wearing my Olympic year spikes as well. So I'm starting to come back into my full swing of me and a little bit more confident. Like I can do this. I can push.
And who did you bring to the track today?
Bronzy.
Bronzy
is the nickname of my medal that I won in Beijing with my pilot, Alana Mars-Taylor. It's out here, and I was like, well, maybe we can have some fun with the crowd, and I think that'd be
Bring him out in the sunshine.
Yeah.
There you go.
We all need a little sun.
Kim Kilicki there. all the German athletes are up at the top watching. The men were watching this morning. Little bit of orange. Boy, be prepared for some orange next week, by the way. Winterberg, Dutch Alps. It's the Dutch holidays. It's the World Championship. It's going to be a sea of orange.
This is going to be fun.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's going to be a big crowd in Winterberg.
Now, you see the sled is just now starting to be put down on the ice. That means the ice has been looked over and it's been patched in the ways to where it's safe for the next sleds to go down. And so now this next crew is going to start going off the top here in a short few. Yep.
So that's the 2-minute signal. The sled gets laid on the ice, and then at the 1-minute signal, it gets put into the start grooves, and then the 60-second clock will begin, and that is the time in which you must cross the starting beam. And if you don't leave the block, then you're not allowed to leave the block. You get disqualified. So the boys have been trying to keep the heat in the muscles. At least the car park where you warm up behind the start area hasn't been an ice rink this weekend.
No, it hasn't. It rained a little bit, but there was no snow this week. There was a little last week, and we were kind of happy about it.
Yeah. Simon Friedli, the driver, with Pascal Moser, Luca Rolli, and Dominic Schlepfer. Dominic Schlepfer in between the handles at the back, the man at 4. He was on the 2-man sled yesterday with Friedli. So you have one pusher on either side, the driver on his front push handle, or sometimes comes off the block, depends on how they've learned to do it, basically, what suits their physiognomy best. And the brakeman, the man at 4, and his job actually is to haul on the brakes after the run. He is in between the center handles there on the back of the sled.
All right, let's see what they can give us. Maybe a big push after that long wait.
Right, we've had a 5:32, a 5:34. Are we in the 20s with Simon Friedli and the crew? Yes, we're in the teens.
We got 5:17 with the #1 velocity with 45.5.
Well, this is a little bit like after one of the crashes in a women's race. We then saw the next team go 700s quicker or something than their first push. They were really getting after it, and that's exactly what you'll see here. The best way to deal with the nerves is ramp up the adrenaline and really get after it.
Yeah, full send. Exit of 9 looks nice.
Nice and clean.
Yeah, you want to insert cryo middle left. Gives you that nice entrance, not abrupt.
Nice lines.
Yeah, he knows his track. He's like, I'm going to drive it.
Little sideways into 13. 13, 14 can be a drama. Little runner check into 15, straighten up the skid. It's going to be about 7 tenths up. Across the line he comes, 54.42.
Nice run. That is a nice run, especially after a long track load like that. He really laid it down. The boys pushed hard. That's how you want to do your first heat.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Simon Friedli takes the lead from Jakob Mandelbauer. Incidentally, just down there by the finish line, I saw a Romanian jacket. I think that's Coach Paul Niagu, who's gone down there to join the rescue crews. Now, what's the goodbye there? What's the message there ahead of the check flags? We'll find out a little later.
Yeah, you see that little hit before 4?
Yeah.
That can change your trajectory of the exit. And see, now he's brushed against inches of 5 a little bit. So that is going to cause you to lose speed. But
out of 14, you come uphill here, so the sled is easily broken into a skid. He just, little runner check there. Thomas down the bottom, telling him off. Yeah, it was a good, you know, it's a long hold, and you all know why you're waiting. Now then, yesterday's winner, Adam Amor, with Costa Lawrence, the new man behind him. First ever World Cup race for Costa, first win. Nick Stadelman and Eric Leipold join him in the crew.
It's a nice load, 5:17, they match, but their velocity is a little bit faster with the 45.8.
Adam yesterday with Costa Lawrence behind, they won gold, and he said, yeah, my number 1 guys are back home resting up. Hey, the number 3 guy's not so bad, is he?
No, you know, they just came off the couch, just kidding, but...
and the top 2 starts as well. I mean, Adam Amor is absolutely flying at the moment. Nice exit. Handles the skid.
That's a nice entrance into Kreisel, though.
Yeah, loses a little bit to Friedli, but a nice exit. Again, a little late skid.
Yeah, his back end is flying a little bit there, so he's just trying to get used to the corners at this point with the speed.
And again, you know, yesterday was not as fast as this. In training, it was nothing like as quick as this. Across the line, 54.33. So we're still 1.2 seconds away from the track record. I might have to revise my thoughts about whether that goes. I don't think Francesco will. He'll still attack for it.
That's true. I mean, the women went off early enough to where they can still have that the coldness in the air was still there.
Yep.
So it's slightly different. Now, the second heat, though.
Yeah, they didn't spritz the track, so the straight was all frosty like this for the women's race. So despite that, we got a track record. I mean, it was not, you know, World Championships mirror glass. And again, you can see how frosty it is. See the marks of every runner that's been through.
I thought about not mentioning that, but yeah, you can definitely see it all.
That's a factor of the temperature. You've got to have the refrigeration cranked up. Otherwise, the track just vanishes.
Yeah. Now, the 2-man race yesterday, the men were flying. They were in the second heat, though. So that's when the air starts to get colder. It starts to turn to night.
Yeah,
you know,
it started a little colder today, so who knows? Marcus Treichel with Sasha Stepan behind him. Opper, Marcus Sammer, the granddad of the team, rubbing those thighs, and Sebastian Mitra at the back of the sled. But I had some excellent starts yesterday, Marcus Treichel and Marcus Sammer.
Sometimes I just want to yell, go, 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 go in the microphone, but I did just then.
5:19, just a couple of hundredths off Adam Amor, and that is
he's skidding out of 1, and that is what's going to mess up his velocity.
Yeah, and so you might as well start 5:25.
Exactly.
And 5:30, because you've scrubbed off so much of the little speed the sled's got at this stage. When you're doing 35, 40 Ks, it makes a big difference.
It does. Here, let's see, exit 9.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Nice safe pair of hands, 1300s back, but best speed into the Kreisel. Allows it to come up for the second pressure, takes the third nicely.
Yep. It's a nice transition into 11 and 12.
Now he's got a little bit more control in the sled, it seems, on Adam Amor. Does that mean he's on slightly narrower runners?
It could be.
And that could be why the speed is going away, despite a lack of errors. For Andrea Grecu down there, the bronze medalist in the women's race earlier as well, looking to grab the sled. She's got long hooks. I mean, she's a tour athlete, but, you know, they're down there trying to make sure that the guys have a fighting chance.
Yeah, that's good teamwork.
Yeah, Cassie Barr down there, again, raced in the mono yesterday, raced in the women's bob today, sled dogging this afternoon.
You know, that's how we keep our strength up in the women's field.
Yeah.
Move a few sleds, you know, it's just like weightlifting for us.
Yeah. Deadlifting a 4-man.
Look at that 4-man. He is pushing his heart out right there. Nice exit.
Yeah, get a tiny little tap with the late exit out of 9.
Yeah, it's a double bunk, so it keeps the sled really straight.
And actually, I noticed a couple of times earlier on we saw Mandelbauer coming down, had quite a hit with one of the lumps of ice that sticks out.
Yep.
In a mono or 2-man, peeing across the track, 4-man, boom, straight through it. There's a lot of weight coming at you in a 4-man. Adam Amor leads from Seaman Friedley. Marcus Treichel lies 3rd.
We'll see the Latvians.
First of our 2 Latvian crews, Jēkabs Kalender, Edgar Zungas, who was in the 2-man with him yesterday, Davs Kaufmanis, and Maris Klava, the new boy in the team. And I say boy advisedly, you can see his headshot there on the right-hand side. New blood, always looking for that. There's the driver's D-rings.
Yep.
And all the comfort, the luxury of the sled.
Yep.
Yeah, bare carbon and steel tubes.
Real simple. It's always pretty good. 5:21 on the start, 3rd best velocity though. Again, a big skid out of 1, and that is going to kill that speed.
So easy to ride too late into 1, and then the sled just yoinks up and out, and ugh.
Yeah, and I think that happens when you're a little bit more passive going in.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of like, oh, I want to take it around, but then it's just like, oh crap, that's not how I wanted to go.
Yeah. Well, 5:21 start, and that again shows the start of Marcus Treichel's crew in a good light. They started 5:19.
3200's back going into Kreisel.
3rd, looking at maybe 4th place on the splits, behind Treichel. This could be a big day for Marcus Treichel. 4800's back. Whoa, 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 whoa.
He's trying to control that.
Yeah, got on a 15 on the wrong side, had to horn it off.
Yeah.
Now, rolling out of the final corner, save that for Winterberg. That's a standard move. Anybody ever victory rolled you out of the final corner in Winterberg?
No, but
nice drivers.
Yeah, I have, but we were, I think it was Olympic year, and Alana's with Keisha Love, and they were testing different sleds, and she rolled it out. Victory rolled it, and it was Keisha's first crash out of her career. So she's like, "Wow, that was unexpected." Wow, look, he had
and imagine the violence. They're doing 130 Ks. That's like hoiking on the handbrake and jerking the steering. That really whips it onto the corner. And again, that whoa.
Yeah. No, and a monobob, when that sled does that, you feel it. And you're just like, oh, that sucks. You know.
Yeah, but in a mono, you're right by the front axle. When you're at 4, you're like 2 miles back for you're rotating like on the end of a whip. Man, you go subsonic at that stage.
Yeah.
Emil Tsipulis of Latvia, Dav Springis, Mats Miknis, and Krists Lindblad are the crew. This is the #1 starting Latvian quartet. Again, we kind of fancy Tsipulis maybe as a medalist here. Let's see if his first heat is now going to be instantly cursed by that weight of expectation.
Oh. One thing the Latvians can do is get it done. They've always been able to get out.
Oh, look at that, 5:10 start.
Wow.
900s off their all-time fastest ever start.
Wow.
They're getting after it.
Yeah.
And clean early on, nice into 4, smooth into 5. That's the speed.
Yeah.
The speed brings gravity with it, or gravity works with you better and pushes the sled into the ice.
Yeah, this is a good run so far.
Really good run so far. 800s over Adam Amor, yesterday's winner. Third best speed. He's going to be in the mix, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Second best speed.
Wow, he's 600s up right now.
0.1 of a kilometre slower than Amor, and a decent run. He could lead this at the line.
Yeah, that whip into 16.
Gonna be within the 100th.
Wow.
He's 900s up, 54.24.
That was a good run. That was a really good run.
Just checking my notes. Bear with. No, have not had a Latvian winner in 4-man on this track. Certainly not since the 2008 Worlds. Just leaving that there.
Yeah, 2018 Oscars Kubimanis, he got silver.
Yeah. Mats Miknis was on the crew then as well. Was Mats Miknis on the crew back in 2008? I think he had started by that stage. But I think, is that? Yeah, Melbardis also got a medal 2014-15. A silver, and he got a bronze in 2017-18. So 3 Latvian medals on this track since the 2008 Worlds. There may have been some earlier. Apologies to Sandis Prusis, Yanis Minis, Gatis Guts, and all the other Latvians who are now coaching or officialing. Haven't got my records going back that far. I would venture that certainly not this century has there been an Italian 4-man medal on this track. John Morgan's probably now railing at the screen. But Patrick Baumgartner, Eric Fantazzini, Robert Mezzia, Lorenzo Pilotti.
Look at
What
those
have they
eyes.
got at the start?
Look at those eyes that he has. He's ready to get down that hill.
Yeah.
That's him saying, I'm about to like conquer you right now.
Well, when you come out of this dressing room here and make that little walk around to the start, boy, you know you're in for something, don't you?
Yep. It's like there's no going back now.
5:20, that's a pretty
5:20.
decent start.
Took a little while for the push bars to go down. It probably did in the middle of one.
But that means he gets onto one nice and smoothly from 3 to 4. A little bit of a first pressure in 4.
It's so nice when they come up over 5, because there's a small little uphill section. If you can get that up and around, you can really continue that speed down the hill.
Oh, just avoids the wall. Third best speed. He's
Flat, that
1800s
first
back.
wave.
But he could be ahead of Seaman Friede. This could be a top 3 run from Patrick Baumgartner.
Yeah.
Oh, drifting away a little.
Nice 13-14, exit to 14.
You can make up time at the bottom if you're clean here. He was a bit rocky from 15, high pressure in 16. Didn't get there, 54.65.
Fourth best speed with that 130.
Manny Mahata, their coach, knows plenty about getting down this place.
Was pretty decent. I mean, he made some mistakes here and there, but I think that if he can clean it up in the second heat, then he might be able to move up a couple spots.
I think Manny's best result here in World Cup racing was a silver. Simone Batazzi, I don't think, had a 4-man medal here.
The acrobatics of the guys getting in the sled. And this isn't easy, ladies and gentlemen. You can miss the bunk, you can get caught on the cowling, and then it's all about communication. Someone yells down and everyone dives down into the sled together.
You can hear the klaxons already and the noise at the top of the track as we watch the replays, because the GOAT is coming. There, yeah. Well, there, 5th fastest run from Patrick Baumgartner. But next is the 6-time winner on this track, Francesco Friedrich. He's got Candy Bauer at 2, Alex Schuller at 3, Felix Straub at 4. Torsten Margis has been in the sled every single time but the World Championships that Friedrich has won on this track.
Yeah.
2021 Worlds, it was Candy Bauer, Martin Grotkopp, and Alexander Schuller. 5:02. They are again targeting the start record.
Yeah, best velocity with 47. Let's see what Friedrich can put together on this. I really enjoy watching him race. He's a great driver. You can learn a lot. You know, he's super helpful, and he's just a good person all around.
6 of his 30 4-man World Cup gold medals alone have come on this track. A 10th up,
Nice
but look at the speed. Big height.
Controls
Keeps
it
it
well.
up there.
He's 0.08 up.
Emil Supoulis might be the leader at the line.
Wow, he's starting to lead it a
500s.
little bit.
What does France know about getting the speed out of this 4-man down to the line? Just!
400s.
But did you see those left rear runners coming out of the ice,
He
out
let
of the
it
final
fly.
corner?
He was letting it fly. That's all you can do. With a little bit of control, you're able to keep that lead and keep that speed in the bottom middle of the track.
As John Morgan always used to say, it's not the driver that steers the most that wins, it's the driver that steers the least. You do as little as possible, but as accurately as possible. Friedrich leads by a whisker.
Yeah,
Look
so
at
much
that.
speed coming into that corner, but he controls it well. Middle exit, sets him up for the next corner.
This is out of 9, named after the great Harold Chudai.
And he steered pretty hard. I don't know if you could see those runners. They cranked pretty hard, trying to get off that corner, but he came off straight. Didn't tap a wall. Nice early entrance into Kreisel. Gives the boys in the back a little nice ride in as opposed to getting whipped onto the corner. He cares.
Ricky
He
Bernard.
cares about them.
He does. Oh, hey, he lets some breeze on them. All right. Settle down, everybody. Settle down. Here comes Cedric Follador for Switzerland with Greg Jones, with Omar Fergala and Quentin Giard at the back. There's Nicola in the blue beanie at the back helping out. All right, it's been a demanding week for the Swiss crews.
Yeah.
Their thoughts and everybody else's, I'm sure, with Sandro Mikkel and the rest of Mickey Voigt's crew. Particularly with Sandro, wish him as speedy a recovery as possible. Let's see what they've got. I thought he looked really good in the two-man yesterday, said.
5:24, 8th start. Just shot a 1. But yeah, they've had a tough week. You know, we had some crashes in training, and the ice was a little bit different as well. And so the Swiss, they're coming back out here to, you know, make sure they're getting it done for not just themselves, but for their teammates. And,
yeah.
you know, we got to represent for, you know, all of us in our country, and I think that they've been doing really well.
Not a bad exit, little heavy landing out of 9, but he came down straight, 8th best speed. They were 8th at the start. He's up to 7th on the splits. Now drifting away a little bit behind Jakob Mandelbauer.
Yeah, and that was the speed that was lost in Kreisel.
Yeah. Now, Peter and Tidier down the bottom. Is that going to bring him back into 8th place? It does, 54.98.
Yeah, the speed at the track, 130. So that really helped out.
Yep. Fastest at the bottom, still Adam Amor. Actually, Francesco Friedrich, the leader, did not hit the high speeds that Adam Amor did.
Yeah. Adam did a 132.
Yeah, 132.1. Friedrich a 131.5. Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, the Latvians were a little bit faster, but
with all the weight and the extra length of the four-man, some of these short transitions are so dramatic to see in super slow-mo.
Yeah, now watch that back end. It took a little bit to come down. That was a lot of energy lost in the sled to get down into Kreisel a little bit faster.
That's a late steer to take it off, and the back didn't have time to follow. So Francesco Friedrich leads from Emil Tsoupulis and Adam Amor, 10 sleds down. Li Chunjian of China with Ding Song behind him. Ye Qilong, one of their veteran brakemen. And the new boy this year, Ding Yunda, he's at 4. Ding was in the two-man sled yesterday. Had a pretty decent day, but again, Janis Minins, with the world champs in mind, sending these guys out on runners that are for control, not for ultimate pace. He said, I don't care about the result. I want them to go to Winterberg happy, healthy, and confident.
Right.
Yeah, 5:26.
He can't get the
Not a bad getaway, but Ding having to sit up there to get the push bars in.
Yeah, it looked like he had some trouble getting it in. I mean, he was yanking pretty hard. It just would not go in.
Yeah.
But he did, so that's what matters the most.
Yeah, it's going to do a lot of damage if they don't.
Yeah.
Little skids in the upper labyrinth. Rocking out a 9 onto this straight. It's a pretty decent run down the stretch.
And he's flattening out his waves a little bit more. And mind you, this is a very large sled. So not like the Mono, not like the two-man. Goes into 13 with the skid, but...
And he saw it cutting the ice in 14, nearly crashed off the end of 14.
Yeah.
Again, he hit that bulge of ice that's sticking out on the end of the corner that was firing monobob sleds and skeleton athletes at the opposite wall. It just blew through it like some kind of icebreaker.
Yeah, and like these sleds, they just react so much differently. So to flatten out some of those waves in Kreisel, in 4, and then also in corner 14, you know, sometimes that's a little bit more mandatory for them, just because the sled just carries so much weight and so much longer, and you just have to control the whole thing.
Look at this. Whip transition, 11 to 12. He came out late.
Yep, that front bunk taps, back bunk taps, and now he's flying.
And then he's coming in, the sled's going right, the corner's going left. He's steering as hard as he can, and then out of 14, just destroying this ice. That's a lot of weight moving at a big speed.
Yeah, boom.
I don't know what the Chinese for boom is, but that was it.
He's like, yeah, I came out and it just, I don't know, how, you know, you try to play it back.
Well, there was Lee. What about Sun Kai Chi? He's got Wei Peng at 2, Chu Zilong at 3, and Cheng Hung, who was on the two-man sled yesterday, in between the back handles again. So same applies here. Get it done, get it down, world champs.
You see the driver they had, he wasn't necessarily on the bar like the other pilots were. He's a little bit off of it. He wants to get a little bit of more velocity going into that pilot bar and help him push the 55:47 start time. So that's another reason why the pilot was not on the pilot bar, but trying to run into it with a little momentum.
Holcomb used to start back on the line with his hand on the number 2 guy's shoulder, number 3 guy's shoulder, and like run for the bar. But yeah, every team has their own different rhythm to it.
Yeah, one of our guys, he starts that way. All 4 guys are on the block, basically, and he runs the bar.
Yeah. Some like to start on the handle, some give it a bit of an approach.
You see his waves and cries are a little bit
more but nice control, brings it out, and then straight onto 12, like 11 didn't exist.
That bump going into 12 is not fun.
Yeah. All right, 12th at the start, driving themselves into 11th, ahead of Taylor Austin and ahead of
look at that.
Jan.
Look at that.
Yeah, baby, outstarted by 2100s, and they finished 700s in front. Now, the bobsleigh rule is a 10th at the top is rule 3 at the bottom, so he should have been 6,300s back. He's 700s up.
Well, some of these tracks are a little tricky because you might have a slower start time, but if you keep it clean at the top and you build that momentum corner by corner, you can have that speed at the bottom and you can pass some people.
Friedrich will tell you every day you can lose the race by corner 3. Any track, and next week in Winterberg.
But that's a surprise right there because he lost a bunch of time coming out of the corner.
And then here as well, 11-12.
Yeah.
It's like he'd forgotten 12 was there. Whoa!
Yeah, and you can roll it out of 12.
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing. That happened to me, actually.
Well, the corner 1 here is called the Benesch curve. Matthias Benesch, former driver, who's now the track manager. And it's named after him because he rolled a sled out of there. Out of 1.
Out of 1.
I'll just leave that with you. I'll park that thought. You can imagine how much fun that was.
He just let it run then. He had to.
Well,
do nothing. See what happens.
It was upside down the rest of the run.
See what happens.
Not much you can do. Now then, Mihai Tentea with Constantin Dinescu, my partner yesterday, Mihai Pacianu, and Georg Yordash. Georgi was on the back of the 2-man sled yesterday. Mihai was in the booth. Mihai at 3, that is, not Mihai the driver. 5:27, that's it. Again, their starts are really coming in.
Yeah, I was able to train a little bit with them in the weight room out in St. Moritz. And, you know, they trained their butts off. I liked it. I was like, yeah, wait, you know, and they were all about it. So it was a really great environment to be in with them.
So much of this is about hard work and experience and getting on with it. Nice exit out of 9. 11th best speed, 10th at the start. He was up to 8 early on the splits. Just drifting away a little.
Yeah, that was that speed that was lost at the top, and now it's starting to catch up with him. But if he can...
Whoa.
Yeah, a lot of energy lost there. Let's see if he can control it. Nice control, 16 to 17, but that speed is lost.
Yeah, 10th place at the line. That's a shame. He was kind of back up to 8th on the splits. All right, well, you just saw both of the Romanian coaches there in the leaders box. So it wasn't Paul Niaga who I'd seen, so it must have been Andrea Greco and Teodora Vlad, her brakewoman, who are down there waiting to catch the sleds. There is Andrea.
Now, I saw Kathy Wick yesterday at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
She was injured, one of the lady bobsledders, and now she's been just trying to make her way back to the hill so she can be healthy for racing.
Whoa! Again, backing it in MotoGP style to slow the sled down, but that's not what you want here. And out of 14, had trouble in both runs yesterday with 14.
I wonder how much ice is there, because it almost looked like there was a bunch of ice just sitting in the...
Yeah, could be.
That entrance into that straightaway.
Yeah, he had trouble in 14 all day yesterday, and he had trouble in 14 again. But Mihai Tentea in the top 10. And they're looking to get themselves into the top 10 in the world rankings to try and get themselves a favourable start draw.
Republic.
Yeah, Czech Republic.
I've never been to the Czech. They're right next door.
We're right next door. It's like hour and a half to Prague. Beautiful city if you ever get the time. Stunning. Late change. Was supposed to be Michal Dobeš at 2 behind Adam Dobeš. But a late brakeman change just before the start. And Antonin Vijas is in at 2 with David Baresh and Dominik Zaleski, the Czech 100-meter record holder on the back handles.
That's
whoa.
Little fumble going into the sled.
Yeah.
It happens. It does happen. There's 4 big guys trying to get in all at once.
And sometimes you have to step up and start in a position that you've never been in on a sled.
Yeah.
And without the practice to load either at 2 or at 3 or whatever. So, yeah, getting in at 4, that's pretty straightforward. You don't have to be quite so acrobatic.
Yeah, he's had some big hits at the top, especially going into Kreisel. Let's see if he can control it going out. Nice exit.
That's better, but again, the tail of the sled sliding around behind him.
Yeah.
He's either trying to hold the nose down too early or too long.
There's some clumps of ice the exit of 14. Roofed it in 16, but he makes it down. That's all right. That was tough. Coach is like, what was that?
Absolutely zero on the coach's face. That was, again, you know, Adam has not had the best season. He's just kind of, the timing's just been a fraction off, and it doesn't have to be much off to be off.
Yeah, that's
and he's
true.
just had that slump of a season.
Now let's look at this load. The 3 guy gets in, and he kind of falls in on the 2 guy.
Well, not as bad as the crew we saw from Liechtenstein in San Moritz, where the guy at 3 jumped in and actually shouldered the number 2 guy back out of the sled.
I've never seen that.
Never seen that before, but hey, you know, there you go, out of 14, skidding all over the place, late onto 15, big height, hits the wall in the ditch.
He roofs, didn't roof it, almost
Not
did.
quite. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, this crowd at the bottom of the hill, they make you feel loved regardless of how it came down.
Do.
And that's what I liked yesterday. This is really a great crowd, and they always come out and support
You'll hear a lot of that next week in Winterberg. You always get a lot of that when we're in Königssee.
Definitely.
Christoph Hafer then, the 3rd of our German sleds, with Jorn Wenzel making his World Cup debut, Matthias Sommer and Tim Gessenhardt. So it's a relatively new crew. Christoph Hafer knows his track well, the Olympic bronze medalist, 5:23.
5th best velocity, and they're the last off. So that says something about that German program.
Well, Hafer knows how to drive this sled. He knows how to drive this track. It's not like he's coming in from Europe Cup with second-hand equipment. It'll be full-fat FES kit.
Now there's airtime happening before in the entrance of 6. Wow,
Good exit out of 9.
exit.
Look at that.
Wow,
Holds
look
it.
at those
Absolutely
lines.
holds it. It's like he's on the banking in Daytona.
Yeah, you can see how much the sled is really digging in on those pressures.
Yeah.
It's
And that's the balance. Either let it wave up and down, you cover a few more meters, or hold it, but you're cutting more ice. Which costs you more time.
Great.
It's going to be 10 at the line. Yeah.
8,700 back on that. Last off, top 10 right now.
I would love to have seen Friedrich go last off as a gauge of how slow the track was getting. But the fact that Friedrich, only 2 sleds after Tsipoulis, was only a few hundreds ahead of him, I don't think the track was deteriorating dramatically. Honestly, if France had gone off last, it's quite possible he wouldn't be within a 10th or 2, but...
Yeah, the air time that they're getting into 6 is, it is interesting.
I think, there were a lot of errors there that you would not expect to see from a Friedrich or a Lochner or a Brad Hall or maybe a Mickey Vogt.
Yeah, those lines. That may have been from a crash earlier where the sled was just on the ice.
Yeah. Start 5:23. That wasn't affected by the track, so only the 8th fastest getaway. And that tells its own little story as well. You know, you need speed at the start. It's a drag race.
Yeah, French Francesco
faster you fire the cannonball out of the cannon, the faster it travels, right? And
Yeah.
that's the deal. Friedrich and his boys, 100th off the start record. They're not going to like that. It's their own record. Might they care? Every day, every run, the records come under target. Francesco Friedrich leads by 400s from Emil Tsoupulis. Adam Amor is in third, ahead of Simon Friedli by about enough. Marcus Treichel and Patrick Baumgartner going to challenge Friedli and Amor possibly. If there's a mistake in front, you can easily pick off a couple of sleds and then look behind. Mandelbauer, Hafer, and then Tentea just ahead of Sun Kai-chi and Chi. Sun and Lee are going to have such a massive battle as well.
There's always a battle within a battle.
Oh, yeah. and the teammates thing, that's all spurring on the performance. So the final heat of the weekend, the final heat of the European World Cup season will be starting at 1500 local, 1400 GMT, 1100 Eastern. Join us then. We'll see you. Bye for now.